Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is Autocar, which invented the road test in the 1920s. We've road tested almost 6,000 cars since then, but every Christmas issue we road test something that is not a traditional road car. And this year it is the JCB DIGatron Monster Jam truck. Where do you start? It's 6 tonnes of four-wheel drive machinery. Actually, Monster Jam trucks are largely the same mechanically as each other. So Monster Jam does tours of the US, it does tours around the rest of the world. Sometimes at the same time they have like over 60 trucks running at any one time. There are 2 JCB DIGatrons, incidentally, but there is this space frame steel chassis made of very, very thick tubing all around, all the way up to and including a roll cage up the top, and in the middle of them is what is effectively a drag race motor, to be honest with you. It's sort of large block Chevy based, runs on methanol. It has got a small muffler, so they're not as loud, quite as loud as they used to be. I can tell you they are quite loud. It makes about 1,500 horsepower, which is quite a lot. Drives through a 2-speed transmission, 2 all 4 wheels, permanent 4-wheel drive. I don't know how easily you can see this, but in terms of braking, there is a brake on the front and back prop shaft just there, basically, and then it's got these solid live axles, which are military spec based, but then Monster Jam takes them, beefs them up inside and out. This one has locking differentials front and rear. Some monster truck drivers have a spool rear diff, which means it's basically a locked rear differential, which they think helps it turn. The driver of this car, Tristan England, thinks that actually he's much happier off with a locking diff front and rear. And then there are these bespoke monster truck tyres. I love this little thing. It says for monster truck use only. They're made by BKT. They last a long time. Monster Jam has been through a few iterations of them, but it's settled on one that it thinks offers the right amount of grip and traction. You don't want something that tips you over too much if you put too much lateral force into it, but you don't want anything that washes out too easily. These are very cool. They're very hard wearing. They've got steel beads in the middle. There are nitrogen filled dampers, 2 on each corner. Recently, I don't know how recently actually, but they've moved the bottom of the dampers out to increase the stability, because although this truck is very large, a lot of the weight is low down, so they're actually more stable than you would give credit for. They do unbelievable things if you see them in a stadium. The stunts that these guys pull with them is just, I cannot imagine. Okie dokie, so this is the inside of a Monster Jam truck. It's an automatic, so there are only 2 pedals, a big fat brake pedal and a throttle pedal with a little hook on it. Not all of them have a steering wheel like this, but they thought it would be a cool idea if a branded JCB steering wheel looked like the kind of steering wheel that a JCB has. This is one of these seats that you can't, as you'll be able to see because you can't see my head, keeps you unbelievably firmly fixed, and with a hands device really tight as well. Visibility is limited. You're relying on your sort of peripheral vision quite a lot because you just can't move your head very far. So although there's plexiglass down here through which at the moment I can see the front wheels, it's not as easy to see once you're fully helmeted up. Tristan drives it like this, right? One hand here palming the wheel, the other hand here doing left and right on the rear steer. Less than 3 seconds will put it on full left or right lock. Pulling that leaves the rear wheels wherever you steered them to. Pushing it that way puts them on automatic and they go back to centre when you lift off that. That is a push to torque for the radio. There's a battery cut-off switch here. If you want to get into a monster truck and you want to know how to start it, right? If you're going to steal one, switch that switch to on, lift this ignition switch up, push the start button, that will start it. You have to be in park for it to do that. And then whack these switches up because that gets the fuel pumps going and the radiator going, and that's a good thing. And then there is what looks like a very basic automatic gear shifter, because it is. It's got park, reverse, neutral, second, first, and then actually he didn't tell me what the one furthest back was. I think it does nothing basically. So it is a very, very straightforward cabin. That is a rear view mirror, rear view camera. This has got a rev counter and a water pressure gauge on it, because you can't actually see the water pressure gauge by the time you're back here and everything, so you just need to keep an eye on that. Look, you know, interior UX designers, if you want to know how to do things properly. It's big things that people can find absolutely by feel when they are concentrating on something else. It's the best cabin I have driven all year.
Autocar has come to visit Monster Jam University, run by Tom Meents, winner of 14 Monster Jam World Finals. DIGatron's regular driver, Tristan England, is here too, so if anyone knows how to instruct us on how to drive DIGatron, it's these two. First, I need to get strapped in and then do some manoeuvres to get used to the truck. Tristan is on the headphones, not that you or me most of the time will be able to hear him.
So we're just going to run through some safety tests, radio test. They can shut down this truck remotely. So they're going to test that. It's a very simple cabin. I've got a round steering wheel, which is not on. Now it is on. I've got a gear lever down here, which I can feel for. I can't see anything. The hands device is so tight that I can't move my head down. I can't move my head left and right very much. And I'm really strapped in extremely tightly across my waist and the shoulder straps. So I put that ignition on. And then I start it. Right, so that is first gear, and then as soon as I lift off, it starts to creep ever so slightly. Steering is very light. The ride is lumpy, so that is weird. So I steer with the front, and then I'm getting told to steer with this little finger as well. The turning circle is incredibly tight if you do that. But I can't really see much out of my left. Throttle response is unbelievable.
Once I can start and stop and steer the DIGatron, England suggests I might use the right pedal a little more to make some more noise, if I can remember how to start it again.
Right, so he wants me to do some figure eights, so I'm going to just do that, and then I have to flick on with all of these switches. And I can barely see where that tyre is, which is... Oh man. So it's really hard to keep hold of that. And that wheel... I need grip your gloves. What a noise, seriously. That's wild. That is wild. Oh, it's just wild, isn't it? Because if at a certain speed it all goes blurry and the ride becomes... It's just... I've not experienced anything quite like it. During this Monster Jam University, the trainee drivers may spend up to 7 hours a day sitting inside one of these. And it's reasonably comfortable, but it's pretty hot, and you're strapped in really tight. It is not for those who feel claustrophobic. It doesn't feel quite as high as I thought it would. I thought I would feel... I'm not great with heights, so I thought I would feel a little more perilous than I do, but it feels quite stable. I mean, it rolls around, it does roll. There's no steering feel, it stays the same weight. It's hard to find centre because of the way the hydraulics work. There is no sort of natural self-centre point again. The wheel doesn't necessarily go back to the same point it was when you started. So that's the thing. I could do... This glove is too slippery on this wheel for me. I might see if I can swap it for a stiffer one, because that's what I'm finding. I'm just sort of having to grab the wheel several times. Almost wants a knob on it. You can't go wrong. The brake pedal is massive, the throttle pedal is massive, and it's got a hook over my foot to pull it back straight again. I mean, I'm hot in it, and I'm actually getting hotter and hotter. The idea of spending 7 hours in here in a stadium in summer is unbelievable.
I'm hot, flustered, but haven't broken it yet, so Tom and Tristan want me to show you a standing start or a whole shot in a monster truck. The technique is much like in any automatic car. You put your foot hard on the brake, start applying the throttle to build up some tension in the transmission, and when Tristan sets the light from red to green, sidestep the brake and stamp on the throttle.
So it shouldn't matter if my hand slips a bit on this wheel, because I'm not trying to bring the wheel back to centre, because there is no centre. It changes because there's not a direct mechanical link between the wheel, this wheel, and the steered wheels. It's a hydraulic link. So actually the steering wheel can be wherever it wants. It doesn't make any difference.
Now, it's hard to put a number on how accelerative the DIGatron is. Its power-to-weight ratio isn't unlike a Porsche Cayenne turbos, but there's much more inertia here, but then also much lower gearing. What I can tell you is it feels like it's moving quickly, even from 10 feet in the air, and I'm about to get even higher.
And now I'm going to bring it up. Right, I think I have just jumped a monster truck. I don't know how far. I know it hurt on landing. The idea is don't land on the brake and keep the throttle on until you're in the air. And my arse hurts.
I'm told not to land while touching the brake pedal because the force that will put through the transmission basically will break something that will cost at least $9,000 to fix every time. However, if you do stay on the throttle or push the brakes while in the air, that will change the attitude of the machine. Motocross riders do this a lot. Anyway, my first jump didn't go very far, so they want me to have another go.
Oh my gosh, that's the best thing I've ever done in my life. Oh my word. Oh my god. That is just sensational. Oh my god.
Which brings me to donuts, which the drivers here say is one of the most spectacular but actually one of the easiest stunts to pull in a Monster Jam truck, because it's just putting the steering on opposite locks and standing on the throttle. A Monster Jam truck is the world's fastest donutting racing car. Basically, you can do it until you're sick.
So this switch here, when I pull it back, instead of the rear wheels auto recentering, they will stay wherever I leave them. So I have to go out there, put it to the left with that in, so that then these wheels are turning that way, those are turning that way, and then I get back on the throttle. That feels like you're going to kill somebody, or like everything, because you can't see anything around it. You just lose all perspective of everything, and it's just going really fast. I mean, it's going really fast around. I mean, I suppose you could keep going till you threw up. You would keep going till you threw up, but I can't hear whether he's saying, "Oh, actually, you're about to run into something." That big concrete block. It's mad. That is wild. That is the maddest thing I've ever done in a vehicle. Full stop. And it probably looks really undramatic from the outside, but from in here, that felt off the scale bonkers.
I need to say a huge thank you to everyone at JCB and Monster Jam who helped us show you behind the wheel of the DIGatron. While the truck was there, Tom Meents and Tristan England did some work on a new ramp design. And if you want some idea of what a Monster Jam truck can really do, well, just watch this. Now, obviously the wheel isn't meant to fall off, so a bit more work on the ramp design is necessary. But A, Tristan was fine, and B, within 2 minutes of this happening, the truck was back in the workshop and being repaired for another go. This is an unbelievably professional setup. So if Monster Jam and the DIGatron are coming to your town, I recommend going. Meanwhile, thank you for joining me. We're here weekly, and you can find more, including the full written review of the DIGatron and loads of technical details. It's over at Autocar at themagazineshop.com. We'd love it if you'd like this vid or even share it, and I hope to see you next time.